Hey, what up everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you with the April 20th. This is the Easter edition of Total Divas. I'm sure this, holiday is going to help Total Divas spike the ratings through the roof. It seems that last week, for the Inhale, Exhale, there was a huge drop in the ratings for Total Divas, dropping off from a 1.5 all the way to a 1.1. Hopefully, we can all think that Eva Marie and her health scare, as well as the big marriage between Trinity and Mr. Uso, are going to pump up the ratings. Everybody knows that there's nothing better to help ratings than a good old wrestling wedding. Just ask TNA Impact over there. But in all seriousness, this was a pretty good episode of Total Divas. There was a lot of good acting coming from basically the whole Natalia group, with basically everybody getting on her, trying to get her a sex therapist, basically with her trying to play off that she didn't know what the word doggy style was. But I guess you can say that basically the big heel of the whole week this week wasn't even somebody that was on the roster. The WWE legend was Rikishi. Basically, they had a wedding over in Hawaii. Basically, it was one of the Funkadactyls, Trinity or Naomi, whatever the hell you want to call her. Sometimes they call her by a real name, but they always put her WWE name down there at the bottom. I got no clue what the hell they're trying to do. I'm basically barely thinking that I know what the Funkadactyls' names are, but I still get them mixed up all the time. On Cameron's that one, and the one with the huge cans is Naomi. That's basically the way I'm getting it down now. But, they go over to Hawaii to get married. Everybody saw that on the last week's episode, they asked Rikishi if he was going to be there, and he said he was going to try his best. When it came down to it, he no-showed his own son's wedding. His first son to get married. Basically, there was a last-minute appearance. How much do you really think Rikishi's making out there on the independent circuit these days? $500? Do you really think anybody out there's paying more than $500 to Rikishi to show up to a show? When was the last time he was on TV? 2002 on SmackDown? Maybe even a little bit later than that. He did those few weeks for TNA where they made him look like a huge star, and basically they couldn't come up on the amount of money that he was demanding because he was a big star during the Attitude Era. Rikishi, the guy who ran down Stone Cold Steve Austin, who had that one big match with Stone Cold. I did it for The Rock. I did it for the people. How much money do you think he's really doing? One thing I can guarantee you this is no matter what's going on in the world, I don't care what place asks me to cut meat, I'm going to be at my daughter's weddings, no matter what there is on the schedule. There's no booking out there in the world that's going to be bigger than that. Unless it's WrestleMania 50, gotta be at that one. It's gonna be a big one. But basically, it made, the Usos come together. They had a big, they were sort of like, pouting a little bit that Pops wasn't gonna be there. And, speaking of not being able to figure out their names, Jimmy and Jay, one of them, and the other one spoke up saying that, he was his twin, he was happy for him, he was glad he was there, and basically there was a whole house full of Usos that were welcome, to welcome Naomi into the family, and that, everybody was going to be together, and, it was going to be an awesome day, and they did have an awesome wedding out there, in front of the water, and, they partied the night away, and it was a fun one, and I was glad we were able to be a part of that wedding. Then on the other hand, with the other recently married group, we had Eva Marie. Her husband's name is Jonathan, and she came down with a cyst. I believe she said it was on her ovaries, and she said that her stomach, poofed out, and it looked like she was carrying a 6-month baby. She was down on the floor, and she couldn't do anything, and Jonathan had to take her around. They went to 3 different doctors in 4 different days, basically trying to figure out what it was, and everybody remembers that it wasn't last week, it might have been a few weeks ago down the road. Basically, Eva Marie's family came out, and Eva Marie tried to hide it off the best she could, but it slipped out when Jonathan was wearing his wedding ring that they were married, and they basically eloped. They didn't tell anybody, and they waited too long to tell the family. There was a big rift Boom! Eva called her mom. Her mom told her to basically fuck herself. Jonathan had to call up and say, we got to get this family together. We got to get us on the right page. Folks came out to the house, and, Dad was sort of, acting like, every time we come here, it's a huge bombshell. You guys don't know how to keep track of each other. But basically, it seemed like, Pops and Jonathan were getting along, and they were, wearing everything down. And it seemed like they were going to be able to, patch things out and ride things out, on the road. To having a good, happy life, everybody having a thumbs up. I can see it getting better from here, but basically, it was a big, shock to the system with Jonathan when basically Eva Marie said that she might not be able to have kids due to this, and Jonathan's whole life was he wanted to get married, he wanted to have kids, he wanted to settle down, he wanted to do this and that. I got word for you, buddy. You don't have a job, you're living off your girl. Eva makes all the money. She started having kids, she can't work no more. Might want to put that off for a while. But that's just it. But this was a good episode of Total Divas on this big holiday edition. For better or for worse, good wrestling wedding. You can't go wrong with that. The good old ODB and getting married. Everybody remembers that. That was a good one. Eric Young, the big old beard. They were the tag team champions of the world. For TNA. Well, they weren't even the tag team champions of the world. They were the knockout champions. Can't go wrong with that. Peace out, everybody. Have fun. Monday Night Raw tomorrow. Boom! Bringing out the big guns. It's going to be a good show.